If you're thinking about joining the diplomacy tournament circuit, this video will give you an idea of what to expect, how the tournament's structured, how it's scored, and summarize my first tournament experience, the Liberty Cup 2020. Thanks to all the organizers who put together a really great event. This is Legendary Tactics. If you're looking for a welcoming experience, one that's well organized and beautifully executed, you've come to the right place. From beginning to end, this tournament was an impressive endeavor. In light of the pandemic, many face-to-face tournaments have moved to a digital format, which in the case of diplomacy is a very viable option. But this means that some players have to migrate from a face-to-face experience onto Discord and Backstabbr and other such interfaces. So my goal is to show you what to expect and how to help you through the process of getting involved in this kind of play. Whether you're joining because you want to improve your game, or you're looking for notoriety, or you want to meet other hobbyists with a passion for the game, or because you're looking for new ways to connect in a world that seems ever more disconnected, here's a rundown of what to expect. First, you need to get the courage to sign up for this. Organizers announced the Windy City Weasels tournament, which is coming up, and it'll be structured in much the same way as the Liberty Cup. So in this case, just go to the tournament website, liberty-cup.com, and get yourself signed up. You'll need to download the Discord app and the Backstabbr website or whatever platforms your tournament is using, and get yourself logged into those. You need to find the main feed. In this case, it's called the board call. You might want to make sure that your audio and your optional video are working in advance and that you have good audio quality. Players will get this set up generally in the days leading up to the tournament. So the day begins with an introduction from the tournament director. Here's Bill Hackenbrack to set up the day.
Good morning or evening if you happen to be in Australia, and welcome to Virtual Liberty Cup 2020. Now, usually at this point, we would be in the Doubletree and downtown Philadelphia, making our way from Wawa or the other breakfast locations in the area, and getting ready for what would be round two. And this evening we'd be pursuing all sorts of social activities, getting some delicious Bavarian-style dinner. And then tomorrow morning, we'd be doing round three. Unfortunately, with the coronavirus, we've had to socially distance and move a lot of face-to-face diplomacy, all of face-to-face diplomacy in North America to online. And however, we have had some absolutely amazing turnouts at DixieCon and Massacre. And now we have the opportunity to do another face-to-face tournament virtually here with Liberty Cup. I made a concerted effort to reach out to our online community, and I think we've got somewhere between 30 to 40 players here who are basically new or very new to face-to-face diplomacy and this tournament format. Philadelphia, for those of you who haven't been to the city, it's a lovely town, a lovely city, very welcoming to outsiders, as long as you're not a jerk. But the city can also be very tough, but it's tough but fair, kind of like a diplomacy player. So I think a lot of that attitude we'll see here today. But one of the other things Philadelphia is a city that has been at the forefront of civil rights and liberty throughout its history. And right now, in the United States and in Philadelphia, we are in a process of rediscovering and holding true to our founding values and ensuring equality and fairness and human rights throughout our country. And one of the organizations in Philadelphia that is committed to human rights and to breaking cycles of violence, poverty, is the Amistad Law Project. And that is why this year, in lieu of an entry fee or other financial contribution, I'm asking participants and the diplomacy community worldwide to consider donating to the Amistad Law Project. I'll be posting links in the announcement channel and inviting people to either donate directly to the organization or PayPal or Venmo me the money, and I will make a group contribution. But either way, please let me know. Make sure you share your contribution with me, so that at the end of this tournament, we can really see the impact that this community has made together towards improvement and improving this country and our beautiful city of Philadelphia.
Next, the director will do a roll call to see if you're online, and they will assign you to a game. The games will be pre-created, and they'll have admin around making sure that you get from Discord into the game. So from logging in to playing your first game, you might have about an hour to get set up. You can chat with the other players at that time or brush up on any issues you have or any rules you're thinking about. On the right-hand side of Discord, you're going to see the games being formed, and your name will appear under the game that you've been assigned to. When you hear what board you've been assigned to, on the left side, you need to move into the chat room with the other 6 players that you'll be playing with, and the invite for your game will appear in a hyperlink there at the top of the chat. So follow the link and accept the game. That'll take you into Backstabbr. Once everyone has done this, then your game will start in earnest. Just a few quick notes on using Backstabbr. It's a great platform, but it has a few quirks. You need to make sure that when you input your maneuvers, when you recognize that this yellow yield sign triangle there appears, that you actually process your orders, because if you do not do that, then nothing will happen. Like right now, my move has not been inputted. This is just me sort of experimenting with where I'm going. Once I hit submit, then the order will be processed until everybody else gets theirs in. Something else that you should be aware of is how to convoy a unit, because that can sometimes be a little tricky to pull off if you're not familiar with this interface. Okay, so what we'll do is, if I want the Naples army to convoy over to Greece, I would click first on NAP. You can see that it's highlighted, and then just click where you want it to go, Greece. But as you know, this is an illegal move because an army can't move across the water space. So now you need to order your navy to get him across the way. So click on your navy piece, and you're going to go convoy, and then you have to tell it which unit to convoy. So I'm going to convoy the Naples unit, and we'll convoy that to Greece. And you'll see that he's got the convoy symbol, and that order has been executed. So you'll want to confirm over here that you've actually got that in. So Fleet Ion is convoying NAP to Greece. So you haven't misclicked, and then Army NAP is going to Greece, just to make sure. And remember, you need to go back now and click this orders button, submit orders, otherwise that will not go through. I'll just show you very quickly too if you want to support your own player. So it's very similar to a convoy. Let's say Budapest wants to go to Galicia, and I want to support with Vienna. So you click on Vienna. Now I use the keyboard shortcuts for this, so you can click on S or C or M or H, or you can actually click on the button down here, whichever you prefer. I'll do it visibly so that you can see here. So Vienna is going to support, click on Budapest, and he's going to Galicia. So just make sure that you go through that process, and once again, you need to submit that order. So other than that, you might want to get to know one other issue, which is true of the game, even in any of its forms, is that there's a south coast and a north coast. So just be aware that you know the difference between those. This unit, for example, cannot move up to the north coast. It would have to enter in the south coast. Likewise, we have an east coast and a south coast down here in Bulgaria, and we've got the same in Spain with a north coast and a south coast. So just be aware that there is a difference, and you want to be precise about where you're actually supporting to or where your unit is moving to. Interesting though that your unit bot, for instance, could support the Barents Sea into St. Petersburg, because both of them do border on that. So just be aware that that is something you are allowed to do. So other than that, you should be good to go with Backstabbr. So good luck with learning to use that interface. Etiquette will likely change from tournament to tournament, but generally, diplomacy players like to play by the rules, so try to follow whatever guidelines have been given by your tournament director. That might involve things such as not negotiating until the game begins, and just like a real face-to-face game, there's no talking during build or retreat phases. So just stay in the main game table chat rather than going into the negotiating rooms during those phases. As the game progresses, you can invite players, either through a typed message or verbally, to join you in a negotiation room. It's considered bad form to bomb into a room uninvited, so best to ask before you jump in. For my first game, I noticed that sometimes it turned one player against another if they violated this decorum, but I guess it's up to you. So as a first-time tournament player, I found that everyone through this process was very helpful. If you get into any trouble at any point, just ask the other members of the community and they'll help you through. While diplomacy players are lying backstabbing traitors in-game, they turned out to be very kind, helpful, and respectful people outside of the game. So in terms of time commitment, you'll want to have a dedicated time without interruptions from pets or kids, and you need to focus on the game. So if you're used to seeing people's facial expressions in a face-to-face game, you're not going to get that here. And if you're used to a 24-hour turnover time, like I am, you'll find the 15 minutes goes by extremely quickly. What I loved about this tournament is that it doesn't matter what your skill level is. Whether you're a former world champion diplomacy player, and yes, there was one of those playing, or possibly more than one, or if you're a first timer like me, then you can have a great experience and you really have nothing to lose. You can play the first board or the second board, the third board, or all of the boards. And if you want to rank highly, you'll need to play as many boards as are offered, unless you think you can solo. So let's get into scoring then. So this tournament was scored using the Carnage system, which is a lead-based system. So each game is worth 28,034 points if you solo. If you get all of them, that is. But that's rare to happen in this because you're not rewarded for finishing through to that, and that would probably take about 6 hours to do. So you're not going to see that too often. But if the game ends in a draw, then the players are ranked by center count. This is likely the way that most games will end. And this is based on the order of elimination as necessary. So if you are the top of the board, or if it's called topping the board, then you get 7,000 points. The second highest gets 6, all the way down to 1,000. So you at least get 1,000 points for being the first person who's eliminated. In addition, each player gets 1 point per supply center at the end of the game. So these points essentially act as a tiebreaker. So if you top your board with 10 centers, then you're going to have 7,010 points. And finally, if two players share a rank, then they split those points for those two positions. So if two guys top the board with 10 centers each, then they score 6,510 points apiece. The best part of the experience, in my mind, was the play-by-play game analysis, which came from some very experienced diplomacy players.
Good evening and welcome to the Diplomacy Broadcast Network's coverage of the second round of Liberty Cup 2020. I am Brandon Fogel, and I am joined by Siobhan Nolan and Adam Silverman. Siobhan and Adam, welcome to the broadcast.
Hi.
Brandon. England could now help Germany get Sweden in this case.
Sure.
So if Germany wanted to keep the game going, they could, but they don't, because this is how the game ends right here. So Russia, man, Randy Thompson, we just gave you a whole bunch of junk.
But, we can't argue the results.
You can take that junk and throw it right back in our faces and smear it, because you topped this board. And for the wacky stuff that you did that looked at times curious and inefficient to us, you mastered this board. Congratulations, man.
Yeah, well done indeed.
Yep. Absolutely.
It was very fair, and it was very keen and insightful analysis. So this event was streamed on the Diplomacy Broadcast Network. It looked very professional. You can see there's just a beautiful layout. They have a wonderful interface that they're using to do really close analysis. They have 3 different commentators who are focusing on 3 different theaters. So there's good coverage of everybody's country there. If you're looking for a neutral analysis of your game, this is a really great place to get it, and also a really great way to improve your game, because they're not biased. They're just analyzing your moves based on what they see. However, one caveat there. In my next video, I'm going to be interacting with the tactical analysis that they made to fill in parts of the game that the commentators don't have access to. So this is where you come in as a player, because there's a whole side of this game which lies beneath the surface and which exists in nuance, which not everyone has access to. So I'm going to let you into my thought process on how I achieved the goal that I achieved in this game, and I'll let you in on the insights of how negotiations went down, what the backstories were, and what the rationale was for some of what appeared to be very wacky plays on my part. One piece of advice I'd like to offer to new players is you need to be able to read the board, and you need to be able to read the players, and those are two separate elements to this game. But one element that a lot of the experienced players are very good at is reading the board. But one element that they can sometimes not be as good at is reading the players, because there's different levels of experience, different levels of honesty. And if you can suss those out and figure out both levels of the game, then you're likely to do fairly well. So just a quick reminder that everyone at Legendary Tactics is a lying weasel except for me. So I've got a number of new diplomacy videos on the way. If you want to keep up with those, then go ahead and stab the like and the subscribe buttons. Thanks for your time, and I hope to see you at a tournament in the future.